Welcome to Cavan TV. You're tuned in to Forum Views with your host, myself, Daniel Downey, and
me, Kate Hennels.
if you have any issues you want to have on the show, contact us on drumlinmedia@gmail.com or check us out on cavantv.com. So, Kate, who have we got on this week?
Well, we've got three very exciting guests tonight, Daniel.
Excellent.
I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. We're going to start with Lila Beattie, who's the chair of the ICA. Lila, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I come from Ballinya,
Yeah,
just out the road here,
yeah.
and I'm a retired primary teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And for my sins, it must be I've been appointed president of Cavan Federation of ICA, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
and you'll be very good.
Thank you.
I mean, you've been so active in the ICA.
Well, I suppose I have since I retired from my day job. I became very much involved in ICA.
We're going to come back to that in a minute.
Right.
Because I just want to introduce Michael Fitzpatrick.
Welcome, Michael.
Hello. Well, I'm delighted to be here. I'm a doctor. I've been working as a GP in Hackney in East London for the last 30 years.
Okay.
And I'm over in Cavan for the weekend, visiting family and friends.
Good.
Who's me, folks?
Whereabouts
That's
in
me.
Whereabouts in Cavan are you
I'm
located?
actually visiting Lochgowner.
Oh God. Okay, very picturesque area. Beautiful. Beautiful area.
Beautiful.
Yeah, gorgeous.
And fine fishing
Mm-hmm.
and good
Lovely
crack.
weather.
Yeah. And you're heading away for the weekend, or?
I'm off to Mayo for the weekend.
Good.
So-
Good. Excellent. And finally, we have Una. Una, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Una Trainer. I'm originally from the west of Ireland,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm married a cute Cavan man, and I thought he'd have loads of money. And I moved
He does.
to
He
Cavan,
doesn't share
and
it.
I'm still looking for it. But, I'm hoping I'll find it soon. Anyway, I hail from Killincare, up near Virginia. You should come up and visit it.
Mm.
Lovely lakes up there, nice forests. And I work here with Brittany Integrated here in Cavan. I'm Community Development Officer with them.
Very
Excellent.
good. Well, welcome
Excellent.
everybody, and
Very welcome.
I should say thanks to Michael for stepping in for a guest who wasn't able to make it tonight.
Yeah.
So we called on Michael Fitzpatrick. So he's going to give us all the gem he knows about, all the gossip he knows in the last 2 days from Ghana.
Excellent.
Okay, so we're going to start off. and the first
Shouting
one-
at Planes is our first story, and it's a fantastic story. Another band in Cavan who's really making it successful nationally, internationally. And they're a local Cavan band who've made it by having a song on an American TV hit show, and also featuring on MTV as well, getting viewers of over 1.7 million. The series is called Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I've seen them actually shouting at planes. You know who they supported? They supported Imelda May last year. Or was it 2 years ago?
Ah.
Yeah, the Virginia Pumpkin
Yeah,
Festival.
yeah,
That's
they
correct, yeah.
supported Imelda May, and they're great. It's
Yeah.
great to see the young talent that's coming out of Cavan,
Brilliant.
actually. Because
Brilliant.
there's another one, isn't there? There's the
There's
Snowman,
Yeah, the
The
Yellow
radio-
Snowman.
the Yellow Snowman, and the
Stripes.
radioactive grandmas.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely.
The Stripes,
of course.
and shouting at planes.
Yeah.
So, very good, lads. Well done.
Yeah, excellent stuff. So, what do you think, Michael, of Cavan's talent? Is it?
Well, I'm very impressed. It reminds me of the story of the Arctic Monkeys, who are my hometown band. I was brought up in Sheffield.
yes.
Sheffield.
Yeah.
Although all my family originally hailed from different parts of Ireland, but the Arctic Monkeys are a local Sheffield band who were discovered just like this, when they were all at school, and it's
Yeah.
very much the same kind of story. And it's
Brilliant.
it's great for a local community to have that sort of talent and for it to be recognised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant,
Well, we've got five.
brilliant.
Five bands.
We're just brilliant. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what happens in a recession, you see.
Yeah, well, it's
We can
good.
all
People have
reach
time to be
into our
artistic. And
inner artistic.
Yeah.
Even
That's
Kate's
true,
taking the
actually.
art classes.
Yeah.
She needs them, folks. She needs them.
You know, I was telling you about, I was doing the art thing last week.
Mm-hmm.
I had to do a self-portrait.
Oh,
I'll bring it in next week.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Excellent. Will we move
What's
on to our
next?
next story? We're talking about the Roll of Honour. Kate, you know a little bit about this. What's the story here?
This was a Peace 3 thing. Siobhan was telling us about it last week, if you remember. It's a Peace 3 project, and basically they've researched and put together a book of all the young men who went off to fight in the First World War. 650 Cavan young men who've never been acknowledged at all. So they had a ceremony on Sunday, wasn't it, Lila? You'll
That's
be able
right.
to tell us about this. I couldn't actually get there. Tell us, how was it? What was it like?
Well, in the Town Hall Theatre, they had a number of speakers. The chairman of Cavan County Council, Paddy Riley, spoke,
Yeah.
and a man from television.
Yeah, Miles Dungan, wasn't it? From
That's
RTE?
right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
His great uncle was lost in the war,
Yeah.
and there were other speakers. It really was, to me, superb that there was recognition at long last for so many people who have had relatives
Yeah.
lost in the war. But I was telling you earlier,
Yeah.
Kate, I remember as a child, in the month of November, we were given poppies to sell.
Yeah.
And I remember going to a neighbour's house and I was chased because that was
Not done.
not done. But it's wonderful now to have this recognition
Yeah.
and have the wreath laying ceremony
Yeah.
and a cross placed down at the memorial
Yeah.
in memory of each person. I don't
Yeah,
know, did they put
600, yeah, they did, they put the
650?
names.
600 for County
652.
652,
Mm.
and they put the names on each one. It was
It's
pretty.
fantastic.
It was
Yes.
really something to see.
It was very moving for relatives who had
Mhm.
lost
Absolutely.
loved ones in the war.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very moving story because it's a striking thing. If you go in any small village in England, you see the war memorial.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the two things that always strike me about it is that you see how many people died.
Yeah.
In small villages,
Mm.
20 or 30 people would be died, and always more in the First War than the Second War.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the other thing that's very striking, it struck me about this story, that how young many of the people
Yeah,
were.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there were two boys recorded who were 15
Yeah.
who died in it, and I thought that was very poignant.
There was indeed.
Mm.
I had the opportunity last summer to visit the Mazines
Oh.
in Belgium, you know, where the battles were fought.
Mhm.
And yeah, acres and acres and
Mm,
acres of
mm.
graveyards, and so many tombstones with 14-year-olds on them.
Mm.
But you know, it was an education, and I can understand what Lila's talking about there. You know, I mean, I was reared in the west of Ireland, probably more of a Republican tradition, and you know, I can
Mm.
understand, like, there was a scorn towards
Mm-hmm.
people who had joined the British Army at the time we were fighting for the 1916 Rising and all the rest. So, but we've come a long way, and we
Yeah.
can talk about
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
and all the rest. But it was a real eye opener, really, to
Yeah.
go, and that Mazines was put on the map really by Queen Elizabeth and Mary McAleese
That's
as
right.
president,
That's right.
Mm.
And the King
And-
of Belgium, I think.
and the King of
Yeah.
Belgium.
Mhm.
That's right, and there is a memorial over there to people from this area.
Yeah.
So it's only fitting that we should have
Yeah.
one here in Cavan.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
It's
Mm.
great to break the silence,
Mhm.
and so congratulations to the Peace 3 team.
Yeah,
for organising
fantastic piece of work. Absolutely.
Mhm.
So we're moving on to our next story. Another good piece of work. Thousands of euros have been raised in the Balagna Vintage Run, and it's in aid of. What's it in aid of?
It's
autism
autism.
Centre,
Well, I
and
think
also
And-
the
and
Respite
And the
Centre.
Respite Centre, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And
Yeah.
Curtail.
Curtail
Yeah.
Respite.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
What's interesting about this story, because Michael, you were saying that you'd read this story and you couldn't work out what it was, because not being a local, he wouldn't understand that a vintage run normally means
Tractors and cars and,
and
yeah.
classic cars. They do this every year, and they raise between 28 and 30 and 40,000
We had
each year.
33,000, 28,000, 36,000 in 3 consecutive years. It's a
Amazing.
fantastic amount of money.
Amazing.
Brilliant for a
So-
local community to raise.
Yeah. So Balagna, that's you.
Yes,
You tell us about this.
Yeah.
it's
Lila.
been running now, I think, for 5 years
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
since Sam Bennett passed away, and I knew Sam very well.
Tell us who's Sam.
And Sam lived in what is known as the mill. He ran a mill at the bottom of the town.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I know
yeah,
the
yeah.
mill.
You know
Yeah.
the mill,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, he had a mill there in days gone by, and of course everybody knew Sam. And Sam was a great fundraiser himself.
Right.
whether it be for a chapel or a church or some organisation. Sam was out selling tickets.
Excellent.
And I think it's a wonderful tribute to Sam that so much money
Can be
has been raised in
Mm.
his memory. Because, and he was a great character,
Yeah, I'm sure.
you know.
It's
He
brilliant.
loved his little drop of whiskey.
Right.
And he used to come to me.
And did he like a tractor or two?
Oh, yes, he did.
Good,
He
good.
did, yes, he did.
Right.
He'd come to me on mostly every Tuesday night, and shouldn't be saying this, the Gardaí aren't listening.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, I'd pour Sam the drop of whiskey, and I'd say, Sam, will you have another drop? Well, every little counts, he'd say. I better not advertise.
Oh.
Well, every time I hear that ad,
Yeah.
I think of Sam.
Yeah. That's a nice way to think of someone.
It
isn't
is. Oh, yeah, every time I hear that,
Yeah, it's lovely.
I think
But I'll
of
say
Sam.
something. I mean, he may have passed on, but his inspiration is continuing to make money for people, you know, in great need of those funds. So it's, and again, like we said last week, we might be in recessionary times, but
It's
there's
amazing,
still that
isn't
generosity
it?
out there in the community.
Well, I was
Well-
very impressed by this story because, as you say, half the funds went to the autistic unit at the local school, which
Yeah.
I'm interested in because I have a son who's autistic and he's actually just left school. But it's very impressive to hear that even deep in the country in Ireland now, there's a greater recognition of the needs of children with autism, and a recognition too that with an education input, great strides can be made by these children. So I was very impressed by that, especially now I know I looked at the photograph and I thought they didn't look as if they'd been running, those people.
No.
But I realise now that it was the tractors that were running rather than the
Yes,
people.
tractors and vintage cars, and they have raised a great deal of money for Aware
Yeah.
and for Down syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very
You know,
good.
it's a charitable.
Brilliant.
It's great. It's great, really.
Okay, we're going to move on with another nice news story about we've received money in the county for a new walking and cycling route around Cavan town.
675,000 grant to bring Cavan to become an active town.
Yeah,
So
which will
it's-
be wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's about time actually, because one of the things I find is it is very difficult to walk. Funnily enough, we were talking about this today, Michael, weren't we? You know, it's actually quite hard to walk around the outskirts of the town if you live just outside the town, because you get knocked over. And cycling and walking is actually really dangerous in the countryside.
And the interesting thing is, you know, the government brought in that scheme a couple of years ago, the bike to work scheme,
Yeah.
and I understand Liberty Insurance have adopted it out the road.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, you'd be taking your life in your hands at the moment
would.
to cycle out that road.
Yeah.
But the
So-
HSE have adopted it too. But I know several people who have said, you know, just trying to cycle out that road between here and the hospital is dangerous.
Yeah.
You'd be end up going to the hospital in other means, you know.
Yeah.
The council have put a new cycle path in at the Dublin Road,
Mhm.
but what confuses me about that is it's just for a certain stretch, and then what happens?
Stops. Yeah.
So you're safe for about maybe 100 metres,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
following that, then
Yeah.
you know you don't.
Well,
know
let's
what's going
to
to
be a
happen.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, this is
Mm.
great
It
news.
can be
But
This
just
is great
one
news.
thing, and I have to say to all drivers out there, being a cyclist myself at times, drivers do have to abide by that law. It's not an extra lane that a driver can use. It's not a bus lane either. I've had a near miss with a bus on a bicycle because the bus driver assumes the bicycle lane is for him to pull in. It is a big
but
issue.
also, the cyclists need to take note that it's also a walking lane,
Yes.
Yeah, it's true.
right?
Very true.
Because the cyclists
Okay,
actually
let's not
can-
fight now.
But it's interesting to come from London to the country in Ireland to find there's vastly more people cycling in London now than there are in the
Yeah.
country in Ireland. I remember
Yeah.
as a child coming to Ireland, everybody was on bikes in the country.
Mhm.
It's completely reversed now.
Yeah.
And I think
We're always a few steps behind, Michael.
well, it'd be
Yeah.
good to get back to the bike. You know, I
Yeah.
cycle
Definitely.
everywhere in London. It's the only way to get around.
Yeah.
And good for your health.
A lot
Really
of
good.
people have taken up cycling, you know, but more as a leisure thing at the
Yeah.
weekends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I suppose it's a start, and eventually people will start to use it to go to work.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
But
so
I think we just have a quick map of the cycling lanes there as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they're the walking and cycling lanes that are coming into town area. So check it out in the Anglo Celt, folks, if you want to find out your local new cycling or walking area.
Okay, so now the next one's about the gathering, because as you know, the flower is the last, this for some years hopefully,
Mm.
not hopefully of course, But
we need a replacement to fill
Yes.
the gap in our hearts
we
for
do.
the 350,000 people we'll be missing next year.
So they're planning the gathering. Does everyone know about the gathering? Yeah? It's the gathering is where the county council's really throwing its energy behind this, and basically what it's saying is that let's all get together and invite our family and our friends who have emigrated back home next year to Cavan and have a party. So if we can't have a flap, we'll have a party. So basically what they're looking for is for all the community organisations and groups and businesses to organise an event in their local area and make sure that local people come home for it. And it's going to be the rebranding of Cavan as the homecoming place, the gathering. Actually, it's being done across the country.
Yeah.
It's all over Ireland.
Yeah.
And I learnt this new word, diaspora.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't heard the word before.
That's the
Sounds
buzzword
good.
now,
Yeah.
so it
That's me.
is. Diaspora.
I'm part of
Yeah.
the diaspora.
He's the diaspora.
Diaspora.
Come back again next year,
Anybody-
Michael.
So just please note everybody that Ghana's already gone ahead and we've got our first diaspora back.
I have been gathered already.
Yeah, Michael has been gathered, but so that's how it works really, and it is, as I say, it's a national thing, and it's quite good because when they talk about rebranding, what they're saying is that there is a logo and everything for the gathering, so that if you are holding your Paddy's Day parade, if you're holding your Balliol tractor run,
Yes.
you actually get hold of the gathering brand and then use it there as well, and use that as a reason to say come back home for the tractor run this year. It's part of the gathering, so it's like building on what you already have. It's added value.
And of course, if you want to reach out to that diaspora, Cavan TV here, folks, are reaching out to over 240 countries worldwide throughout our program. 140 countries worldwide throughout our diaspora. Well, we will get 240, even though there aren't that many. But it's important to realise that, of 3 or 4 million people in Ireland, 71 million people across the globe consider themselves to have Irish descent. So that's
Well, let's hope our new young emigrants who are leaving our shores in
Yeah.
thousands, that they can afford to come back for it.
Yeah.
that's a really important
no,
point.
you're supposed to pay for them, Una.
Oh.
Actually, that is a point, isn't it, Lila?
Yeah.
Because you were at the meeting as well about the gathering, that there isn't money. There's no money. So while we're being told to organise everything,
There is
Oh,
no
there
money.
are no grants available.
No.
Yeah.
That's the
Well, for a lot of our diaspora who went away in previous generations, it's a romantic idea to come back to the outside and the crack and all the rest. But for our whole new emigrant people who have gone over the last number of years, it's a whole different story. And maybe that has to be taken to be remembered as well.
I agree with you there, Una. I think it's very important that we might be celebrating our diaspora, our 71 million Irish people, but what about those people who can't come home because they're, in essence, economic exiles at the moment?
Yeah, or some of them may not have proper visas, etc.
Yeah.
that's
Are
right.
trapped in a situation.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So,
So
they
let's
should be
remember
remembered
them.
too.
Yeah, definitely.
But at the same time, let's try and build on what we can do to try
Well,
and improve
I guess the more money that an event like this brings into the local area, the more jobs there are, the less people will have to leave. Maybe, hopefully.
And there's a warning that the powers that be are not to rip off people. We've got a bad name for overcharging, but
But we didn't last year in Cavan during the flower. I only heard of one business, and obviously I won't name them, but only one business that
Allegedly.
actually started overcharging.
And this is Cavan.
And this is Cavan.
Yeah.
yeah, but the gathering, I remember, is in the countrywide in 26 counties. It's doesn't include the counties in Northern Ireland, but they are welcome to come to the 26 counties or whatever's on. And maybe it will stretch that far, we don't know yet.
Well, Cavan, obviously, I think the county council are putting their elbow behind this.
Oh, they are very much so.
So hopefully we will be the best, and we will prove ourselves to be the best, which will be great because it will attract back again and again and again.
Yes.
We did we've done wonderful things during the flower, as we've discussed so
Oh,
many
yeah,
times.
just that's
So
been great.
to maintain that kind of
Yeah.
momentum
Yeah.
would be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Brilliant.
Okay, so the next story is actually about the Anglo Celt itself, isn't it?
Yeah, the owner of the Anglo Celt title is acquired by Irish management team. So Celtic Media Group deal has secured the future of 125 jobs. There's a selection of some of the papers we had up there that have been secured, and
Well,
looks
yeah,
like
it's basically been bought out by this Irish management team because the Celtic Media Group
We're
had
having
to
some
call
financial
in the
difficulties.
receiver.
Well, it cost 5.5 million euros, which they borrowed from Lloyd's banking group
I
to
don't
do
understand
it.
how
So.
they do that. How can you just borrow 5 million, particularly these days? How do you borrow 5 million
They must be a
euros?
very, very secure company.
Who is the management company?
Well, that's what it's called. It's just called the Irish management team.
That's the
That's-
interesting
There.
thing. Who are they?
They're there on the screen.
There's some of the individuals,
Yeah. Well,
lording over
Um,
their new papers.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
but the
interesting.
interesting thing about all of that, like, you know, is this the print media is under
trouble.
such threat
Yeah.
Everywhere.
globally, and
Yeah.
you know, how many of us
Yeah.
buy a daily paper when you can
Yeah.
Mhm.
log on your computer and,
Well, exactly.
and
I mean,
read a selection of the front pages?
Yeah, because I mean, for
Mm.
instance, I would get a lot of my news. I listen to the radio a lot actually,
Mm.
but otherwise I get my news from the journal.
Mhm.
You know, on the internet, or I check the Irish Times on the internet. I never buy a newspaper, has to say.
Unless you're reviewing for Cavan TV. That's yes, absolutely.
But there's a sense in which all news is local.
Yes.
And it's one of the
Yeah.
great problems. All the print journalism is in such a mess all over the world. But you know, it's the bedrock of the whole world of journalism. But it's in serious jeopardy.
Yeah.
I'm a great reader of our local papers in Hackney, which I keep a close eye on to follow my patients in the court reports.
Oh, right.
And I noticed that
Interesting.
Anglo Celt keeps very detailed court reports,
Yeah.
and that's
Oh,
one,
yes.
of the, one of the great entertainments of local papers, isn't it?
all the
The
local,
court-
all
Court
the
reports.
all the local papers follow it. But I would have thought actually the local papers are probably safer than the national papers because having said I don't buy the local the papers, I
Mhm.
do buy the Anglo Celt every week because you just want to know what's going on, and the website isn't, you know, it doesn't give you that sort
Yeah.
of information, the details that you want to know about who's
And of
in jail
course-
and why.
And the death
You know,
reports.
Yeah, and the death-
we have an aging population, a lot of them
Yes.
not IT
Yeah.
friendly,
Yeah.
and you know, they would buy their Celt or
Yeah.
their
Mhm.
local
Yeah,
their local newspaper every week.
yeah.
So it's a bit down the road
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
their.
And it's, you know,
Mm.
it's a nice broadsheet and stuff. So
Mm.
actually, I think probably the local papers are a bit more secure.
Well,
than
I have to
the
say, from a
ones.
person who well, a bit tech savvy, I don't know, but and I do like my online stuff. I think the feel of having a paper, it's the same as a book.
Mm.
I can't get my mind around Kindles and
Oh,
things
I
like
love
that.
the Kindle.
I
the
need to have a
Kindle.
book in my hands. The same way I love having a paper there and just going through with a cup of tea.
Oh God, honestly, Daniel,
course
before
there's-
you make me sick, let's go for a break.
Okay, all right, let's go for an ad break. We'll be back after this.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Cavan TV, folks. Kit, do you want to introduce us? Go ahead.
Okay, it's my turn. Welcome back to Cavan TV, folks. We have with us Una Trainer, Lila. Oh, sorry, it's Forum Views, not Community Focus. Sorry about that. Welcome back to Forum Views. We have Lila Beattie with us, Michael Fitzpatrick from London, and Una Trainer. And we're discussing what's going on in and around Cavan and the world. And if you ever want to come and join us as a guest and join in with the crack, please contact drumlinmedia@gmail.com or cavantv.com.
Lovely.
Isn't that right, Daniel?
Yep.
Check out the page, yeah?
Yes, check it out. So we're going back to that picture. There's a new chairman. We have a new chairman in the county.
Council.
So Paddy O'Reilly is elected chairman for the second time. So
Well, he comes from a political family as well. I think his father was a TD, and he's been chairperson Caherlock, we should be saying, really.
Yeah.
Caherlock before, and now it's come around again.
Mhm.
Sean McKinnon, he was with us last week, and he was terribly upset about having to give it up. He was a great Caherlock.
Yeah.
Really did lots of different things. But he's still going to do great work in the council for us, you know, he's very good. But he was very forlorn last week, wasn't he?
He was a little, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I have to comment on how well Kate's Gaelic is coming on. She's saying, you look really, really good.
Yeah.
She's
She's got the cotteril in there now.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd like to compliment Sean McKiernan on the great job he did.
Yeah.
An excellent public speaker and was made himself very available to
Yeah.
all kinds of community groups throughout the county. He was,
Yeah, he's great.
that young youth and energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure Paddy will bring the wisdom to it. But also, young Fergal Curtin is vice chair.
Vice chair, yeah.
So it's nice to see young people
Yeah.
Yeah.
involving themselves at local level. Yeah.
No, it is. And it's interesting what Paddy's interested in is developing our cross-border links. So that's good. And education and tourism, wasn't that?
Yeah.
Those the things that Paddy was interested in doing.
They were the key things that he wants to
Yeah.
get off the ground in locality.
Unemployment. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody says this about doing something about unemployment, but I have yet to see anything being done.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So anyway, good luck, Paddy. Look forward to working with you. Hopefully we'll have him on sometime.
Yeah, with hope. So,
Okay, moving on. Septic tanks.
septic tanks. Again,
Who's got a septic tank?
our jaunty angled septic tanks article there. Registered with council now. There's two aspects to this. The first one is the actual septic tank story, but the other one is the council is finally prohibited from using information to chase household charges.
Oh.
So that's the second part. So do folks pick up your Anglo Celt and read this article. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So if you register your septic tank now, and you haven't registered your house, they can put 1 and 2 together.
No, they can't.
They can't.
That's what
Yeah.
they're saying. They can't.
Oh.
Yeah, because that
Yeah.
was the whole data protection thing that we covered in Cavan TV a few weeks ago. Was it going to be accessible or not?
Mm-hmm.
As it turns out, not. So that's
So, but what you do is you register and you pay £5 for the privilege, and then they come out and they inspect your septic tank, and then they tell you that you have to renew it, and it will cost you 20k. So,
20k.
well, no, I mean,
If it's polluting.
if it's polluting.
yeah.
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 I'm being
Well, I
Fine
suppose,
involved
facetious.
in that.
Yeah.
You know, in all
Um,
honesty, if it is polluting, something needs to be done.
It does.
Yeah.
I was watching another program on another channel the
Oh,
other day about our use of antibiotics and you know, and the way they're going into our water system. And maybe
Oh,
Michael,
really?
you can tell us a little bit about that. What's actually happening?
Well, I don't know much about it, but I do know it's a worry, and that all sorts of chemicals get into the food chain, and particularly endocrine, hormonal based
Right.
things can disrupt hormonal systems, and it's a cause of concern. But I don't know specifically about the septic tank issue.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
And
who's got a septic tank?
I've got a septic tank.
Yes.
I've got one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's
Every home in
major,
rural Ireland, that's the only
Yeah,
system we
yeah.
don't have a main
unless
sewage
you're in
system,
Yeah.
Cavan town.
unless you're in an urban area.
Yeah.
So a lot of them were put in probably unregulated to a great
Wow. Yeah.
extent.
Mine would have been put in
Definitely.
30 years ago,
Mhm.
and I'm sure it wasn't regulated. I hate to think
Yeah.
what it's going to cost me.
Well, the point, that's the big point about it. Nobody minds registering their tank or
No.
having it
Mhm.
inspected, and would greatly like that it wouldn't be doing any damage. But if you're going to have to spend 20,000 and you haven't got it,
Yeah.
that's the story, and there's no grants being made available
Yeah.
or whatever for to do that work. And how
Well,
are people
so I
supposed
don't
to-
know what's going to happen. We're all
So-
going to end up in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we
But at
can
least
have a
they
wee
put
holiday.
septic tanks in jail. You know, that's the thing.
One way of
I hope
looking at
so.
it.
But if you want more information on it, just contact or have a look at www.protectourwater.ie or read
That's
the
where you
information
register
yourself.
as well. Isn't
Yeah.
It?
So if you do register, it'll only cost you €20,005 before September 28th. Afterwards, it may cost you 20,050. €150 if you register after September 28th. So do. Yeah. So interesting. Just being facetious.
But just before we move on that, you were saying, Lila, that you're thinking of putting in a reed bed.
Yes, my son is planning to put in a reed bed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you see, that is a real option. If they could just maybe take this opportunity and turn it into a strength and encourage people to look at reed beds and look at developing that, so that we get rid of the whole idea of the septic tank and we go green.
I know, I've seen reed bed systems going in before, and they are fantastic,
Yeah.
very sustainable as well. But if the regulations were just relaxed a little bit, then they would be a valid alternative. Yeah.
So maybe we should, that's something that CRC
Community Resilience Cavan could work on.
Yes. It would be very good.
Absolutely.
So we need information provision around reed beds. People, most of us ordinary folk don't know what you're
Let's
talking
get
about.
someone into Cavan TV to talk about reed bed systems.
Okay, well, we'll do that.
So the alternative to spending 20 grand
on septic tanks.
Let's all go for reed beds.
Good.
Okay.
Well done, Lila. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on.
So moving on, we're talking about unemployment again, unfortunately. A drop in youth unemployment down to emigration, not job creation, claims Senator Catherine Riley. It's an interesting idea.
Sinn Féin Senator, Michael.
It's an interesting idea. A lot of the statistics that come out say, oh yes, less people are now on the live register, but in many cases that's because of emigration rather than actually getting jobs or being cut off.
And where are they going mainly?
Well, Australia
is a big one.
Mining in Australia. And
Canada, yes.
Unless I haven't noticed people coming to London.
Well, they are beginning to. There was an article somewhere the other day about recently, because it's becoming more difficult to get work now in Australia and Canada, and they're falling back on the old reliable of London.
Yeah, well, because also Australia, I saw the other day as well, has changed its immigration criteria, cutting out some of the trades that had been previously allowed.
Well, it's not surprising. I mean, there have been quite a few contentious issues with Irish people in Australia in the last few months, but as well, a record 21,753 Irish nationals got Australian working holiday visas in 12 months up to June 30th. And that's a 50% jump on the previous year. So it's a huge amount of people to be emigrating to one country, the other side of the planet.
So,
there's not much we can do about the job creation.
Well,
bigger fish have to be fried.
But
lobby your local politicians to have job creation packets in these policies they're putting forward. There's all of these austerity policies and all of these kind of
But look,
but
like
no
the
job
reed beds,
creation.
the reed beds. You know, if we're going to have to change septic tanks, let's get that whole sustainable employment going.
But
you know,
that was the whole idea,
options.
that everybody who fell out of the construction industry would be jumped just right back into the green industry.
Yeah.
But it never happened. It never materialised.
Well, there's a huge opportunity there for social enterprise.
Huge. There is.
There are.
But
You're a social
again,
entrepreneur, get out there.
Far too many roadblocks in your way. If you want to do something in sustainability, there's far too many restrictions and far too many obstacles put in your way from a planning point of view. If you want to put up a simple wind turbine, you know, it's unsightly. Right. You need planning regulations are so tight on it that you can usually only do it in some very isolated areas, which increases the cost of transporting the electricity to the mains then, and just minuses your money. So
okay. And what are the regulations with the reed beds that need to be?
I don't know. We'll have to
we
come
need
back
to get the
that.
reed bed person in.
We will.
Yeah,
we'll
I wouldn't know
definitely
what
get
regulation.
Okay, but
it is an option for
if all of those septic tanks have to be upgraded, there is a real opportunity there for social enterprise in the county.
Well, not just social enterprise.
Enterprise, yeah, but I mean
job creation.
I know the people that are making the new fancy septic tanks, they are creating employment as well. So that's why they're there already, and the jobs are in place in those places. They're not going to create new jobs really. But there's an opportunity with the other thing.
But is there an opportunity though? Because a lot of these opportunities depend on in supply and demand chain. It needs cash to pay for them, and nobody has this disposable cash to pay for rebed systems or pay for septic tank changes. So,
well, excuse me, Lloyd's have just given someone 500 million, and what was it?
that's a company of how many individuals? So it's.
I mean,
yes,
again,
I agree
that's
with
corporate
you.
big business.
There's
the
always
local
money.
SMEs,
It's about getting at the
yeah,
money.
exactly. The money is out.
The
there.
money doesn't seem to be trickling down as it should be.
No,
Yeah.
so
It's not
we
trickling
need,
at all.
we need.
No.
But-
It hasn't
so that's
trickled
where
for
we need our
years.
politicians to actually do something about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on then, house prices. Well, we're talking about
Yeah.
the recession.
Um,
They haven't gone down.
This is getting more and more depressing.
It
I
is,
know,
it
come
is.
on. We
so,
started off with the good.
oh look,
story.
it's a great story. Let's look at it from a different point of view. The house prices have gone down. If you're in the market to buy, brilliant, folks.
But you
Absolutely
can't. But you
fantastic.
can't get the money.
Well,
You just told us you can always get money, Una.
if you're in the market,
No, but also
yeah.
it's the fact that they're beginning to stabilise is a bit of a boon, isn't it?
32%
So-
down from what
Well,
2006, is
yeah,
it? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Look,
we're
it's
back
good
here.
that it's dropped
Mm.
because it couldn't possibly be sustainable those bubble levels. So.
Well,
No,
what
no.
the headline is, it's unchanged, so it's stabilising. So that's a good thing too.
Mhm.
And if we now can have bedrooms, well, a 3-bed house at 140,000 in Cavan, it's remained at that for the last 6 months or
Mm.
something. That's reasonable, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's fair, a good price. So, how much are they in London, Michael?
I've no idea, Kate.
Houses,
Yeah, a lot.
a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well-
do you buy your house in London or?
Well, people do, but I've honestly no idea about the house prices. I'm afraid
You
to say.
dipped out of that
Yes,
one
I kept
altogether.
out of that for a
Yeah,
while.
probably depends on where you live as well.
Mm.
Mhm.
Okay, well let's move out of houses then. And
We're
the
on to
big
more
story.
global matters.
Yeah, the
There's a
big story
very
of the week.
complicated diagram of the Higgs boson experiment, that a huge groundbreaking physics story
Yeah.
of the year, pretty much, if not the decade.
I love this story actually. I like
Does
the
this
name.
blow all the religions out of the water now?
It blows all the religions out of the water because we found
The
the
God
mass.
particle, the God
Yes.
particle
Yeah.
has been identified.
Yeah, the
Well,
mass
it's
is
the
there.
it's the one particle which creates mass. So without that one thing, things wouldn't be able to come together. That's
So
essentially
that's what.
it.
Yes, it's the glue, isn't it? That's I heard this guy from Waterford Institute describe it as the glue. So if you throw two things together, this particle is the glue that makes them stick.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's what it is, and that creates then a mass. But what they do is, there's that. What's that called?
Hadron Collider.
Yeah, it's 27 kilometres. This long tunnel thing in the Alps, I think, and that's where they do all this testing. Okay, so what they did was that they fired these two protons and then they stuck together. But what they see is the glue disintegrating. They don't actually see the glue, right?
Yeah.
They see it disintegrating. So my concern now is, scientists being what scientists are, that they're going to start trying to do experiments on the glue itself, and the next thing that's going to happen to us is that we're all going to disintegrate because the
That
mass.
happens
Yeah,
naturally
suddenly
anyway.
my arm's going to drop
Yeah.
off. Yeah, exactly.
Folks, what may have been very boring physics, kids just turned into Cavan TV's first science fiction program.
But you
Um,
can just imagine it. You know what scientists are like.
Very good.
That's what's going to
Yeah.
happen, I'm sure.
Well, I know nothing about science, and I'm sure Michael will have something to contribute in this. But I was interested. It was very interesting to watch the announcement and the guy who 50 years ago had come up with the idea, how emotional he was and all the rest.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested, like, what strides do they hope to make from this discovery?
Mhm.
Like, for instance,
What benefits are we going
yeah,
to see?
yeah.
What it's
100 years from now, what are we going to see?
well, they'll be able
As a
to
result
see
of
how we
knowing
can
this.
take things apart now.
Oh, God, I don't know.
Well, it gives you a lot of kind of a more understanding of subatomic material, so that you can, for example, if you want to look at it from a materials point of view, then you can make stronger metals. You can actually, on an atomic level, you can actually make metals which would be lighter, stronger, more flexible, that kind of thing. You're talking about breakthroughs that will send you into space in a way we can do it. It's not
Wish we had
costly,
that
that
now.
kind
We
of
could
thing.
all go to space.
Yeah, we can emigrate.
Cheer us
Start
up.
a
Well,
new banking system.
Yeah. Have our next gathering on the moon.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to, on that subject, take a break.
Yep.
We'll be back in 2 minutes after the break.
Welcome back to Forum Views on Cavan TV. If you want to get on the show, or if you want to talk about anything on the show, contact us at drumlamedia@gmail.com, or have a look for us at cavantv.com.
Or Facebook.
Or Facebook us. Yep.
Yeah.
Cavan TV channel on Facebook. And we're also on YouTube, so have a look as well.
Yeah.
So
And don't forget to like us.
yeah, like us. Spread the word, folks. So Kate, who have we on today, and who
So
we're
we're talking to Lila Beattie, to Michael Fitzpatrick and to Una Trainer, and we've got through all the good news and I'm afraid we're all feeling rather low.
It's only depressing news from
Yeah.
here. Well, I suppose no news is
But
good
it
news,
is
so-
Friday evening, so
Yes.
let's get on with
Yes.
it. Okay, so actually this is good news. Ireland's seeking to go back onto the markets
Mhm.
as opposed to the EU bailouts. So yesterday they stuck their toe in the water and they raised, what was it, 500 million or something?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I do believe
Was it?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, I suppose, good, isn't it?
So is it? No, I'm going to be optimistic. Yeah, that's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant.
Because we can
It's
borrow
not
more
bad
money.
that we can borrow more
We-
money when we're
We get
already
some of
debt
that
ridden.
500 million in so that we can start putting in our reed beds business.
Yeah.
Was my understanding that what they were selling was debt?
Yeah, bond. Well, yeah,
Wasn't
essentially.
bonds? Bills? There's a difference?
Is there?
Think so.
Anyone know anything about
I
this?
think
Nope.
so. I would
No.
like to...
I
Did you
thought,
do
no,
that?
it's investment. So what they do is they say, listen, is anyone interested in Ireland Inc? And people come along from the various,
that's bonds you're
pensions
talking about.
companies and
That's
all that
not
sort
what
of
they were
stuff.
floating yesterday.
I think that was, wasn't it?
Well,
Okay.
yeah, they're looking for investors
Perhaps.
in NTMA.
Yeah, that's the people
yeah.
who do it.
And
yeah.
and investors offered the NTMA almost 3 times more money than the 500 million it had targeted to raise the issue of treasury bills. There's the thing, treasury bills, which would be repaid in 3 months.
Yeah, you see, I think it is bonds. When they say treasury bills, I think they mean bonds.
I have no idea. But
It's very
I'm
complicated.
sure
It
we
is.
need not get overly excited about it.
Well, I don't know. Let's try. I think this
I have
is far
absolutely
more.
no
I think,
confidence in them
I think the
whatsoever.
finance and the banking system is far more complex to understand than
Higgs
than
boson.
Higgs boson. I really
Oh
do.
yeah, definitely.
I mean, but I suppose it's kept that way to keep us ignorant, so
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
to oppress us.
It's the mushroom complex.
Yeah,
They
Mhm.
say.
Yeah.
Keep them in the
absolutely.
dark and feed them lots of shit.
Many countries just yeah, no, it's definitely true. Many countries just overcomplicate things to lose the ordinary citizens in the detail kind of thing.
Yeah, well, this
Yeah.
ordinary citizen thinks that, that was just mild little tremor on the edges, and we've a long, long way to go.
Mm.
Yeah,
I wouldn't get
I'm
overly
sure.
excited about it.
I heard a good one this morning. It was empires were run by emperors, and kingdoms were run by kings, and countries are run by, Anyway, let's.
Punchline
So-
on an email to drumlinmedia@gmail.com.
if you can fill in the blank on that one. Okay, so will we move on to our next story? A committee may call Cavan if banking inquiry is sanctioned. And this is the story in... Oh, we have a little cartoon here also from the Irish Times. Thanks to the Irish Times. We've cracked it. We're back, free to go to the markets and get even deeper in debt. So it's definitely those cartoons can be quite interesting. Yeah.
Yes, you probably
So-
learn more from them than reading the article.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Definitely.
You're dead
Yeah.
on there, Una.
But we're still on the banking stuff. Do we need a banking inquiry?
No, we don't. We all know that they cut it us
Why
up
not?
to the eyeballs.
Well,
What
don't you
good
think we
it
should bring
cost
these
me?
people
What?
to justice?
Well, look at we've had tribunal after tribunal after tribunal after inquiry, and who was brought to justice? Nobody.
I must say, as an outside observer, every time I come to this country, there's a tribunal
Oh, for
going on.
God's sake, we're a joke.
Even more than in England, and it does seem
Yeah.
as though nothing ever comes out of it.
Nothing comes out of it. We waste taxpayers' money
Yes, who
that's
pays
badly
for it?
needed
Yeah.
for to create jobs, to put in reed beds all over the county. Far more important than humiliating Mr. Cowan. We all know what they did. We don't want any more of it. Move on. Spend our money more wisely.
So
Well
there-
said.
So there's
Yes.
no one in favour of this at all. You don't think it's important that actually people stand up and
Not an
and
inquiry. I think maybe a criminal inquiry and bring them to
Court
court.
case, yes.
You know,
To
but
justice,
forget
yes.
this nonsense and
Yeah.
it's whitewash.
Maybe what
Well,
they
do you
should
think
do
they should
is
take them to court? So surely, I mean, how do you do that? A court can't. Are you saying that the
You
DPP,
gather evidence.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
saying that DPP
Same
should
way as they
actually
do with the ordinary
bring
private.
But
a
that's
criminal-
exactly what they did in Iceland, where instead of going through tribunals and legislation, you actually just go to court, bang, hit it, and
But don't you need the DPP to bring a case?
speedily. And if the DPP aren't
Yeah, but
able
how-
to bring a case
how in
fast,
Ireland
But
they're
even in
incompetent.
DPP bring a
Even in the
case
good
against
old US of
Cowan?
A, they brought bankers away,
Yeah. Yeah.
handcuffed.
Yeah.
It'll never happen here.
No.
So why do we want to spend more money on an inquiry?
Creates job growth in the legal profession.
No, we want reed beds.
Read bets.
Read beds.
It's good.
And more jobs.
Yes.
And more jobs, but not in the legal profession.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw a nice cartoon talking about banking on somewhere the other day, where there was a kind of a young fella in a hoodie, right, and with his cash point card, and he's going to the bank, and then he says to this old gent next to him, he says, "Hey, keep an eye on my back, would you, while I'm at the cash point machine. Just check the banks are not up to anything." It was really nice.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Talking of banks and bank issues, then
Ulster
Ulster.
Bank.
Who's with the Ulster Bank?
Anybody here?
I'm not, no.
No.
No, I'm not either. Thank goodness.
I'm not, but I did have to deposit money. I had to pay my rent to my landlord,
Right.
and he's with Ulster Bank. And when I went in, it was the most unbelievable rigmarole. And I sympathised with the clerk. I said, "I'm really sorry. You're probably getting lots of abuse, but it's pieces of paper. They're writing it down. It's like you're going to a shop in the 1920s. Little, a carbon-proof paper to say that you've lodged this
Wow.
money.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
But
No
you know-
computer records.
But isn't it such a wake-up call for them?
Yes.
Look what they've been doing to us, making us queue to use these machines, and won't man their tellers
Yeah,
Mhm.
at lunch hour,
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and old people who are not used to the digital stuff and
Mm.
going into, and know,
Yeah.
and now they see what can happen, the whole thing can collapse.
Mhm.
But
you
how,
know,
you see, if the whole thing's collapsed, I mean, presumably they're just going on people's honesty.
but that's what they're telling us anyway.
Yeah,
Mm.
they're going on people's
don't know.
honesty.
Mhm.
I mean, where's all the money gone if it's collapsed? If this happens on a national scale, you could imagine the chaos
Yeah.
that there's going to be. It's going to be the collapse of capitalism, which will be wonderful.
Well, it's happened in Argentina before. In Argentina, you had one bank Well, it was a much larger one, and then it just followed on, and runs on the banks, and money literally being worth 32 times less the following day.
But at least it's there. This is going to be where there is no money. Have you heard as well that they've started to employ security in the banks because their staff are being threatened, which is a real problem.
Yeah.
It was in Cavan town that they employed Securicor staff in order to protect their staff.
It's interesting.
It's scary, isn't it? But so people can't still get money out.
They can get money out only if they have. You need a photographic ID. You need address ID. You need your. In some cases, you need 3 pay slips.
Right.
3 previous pay slips.
Okay.
So it is quite difficult.
To get your own money.
Yes.
It's funny because I saw on a petrol station today a little notice on the pump saying if you're an Ulster Bank client, if you're an Ulster Bank client, please come in before you start filling up your petrol to show us your credit card and other payments.
Well,
isn't that amazing? And we're going to get a picture.
Well, here's
of
a
the man.
picture of one of the gentlemen who, Jim Brown, Ulster Bank IT failure is unprecedented. He says so.
And he's not taking his bonus.
No.
Isn't he great?
Yeah.
Well done.
Wonderful.
Well done. Yeah, absolutely. He'll probably take an extra bonus next year instead for fixing the problem. But I have to say, I feel most.
Can you believe them that it was just this little patch?
No,
See, that's the thing.
Now, this is my honest opinion, and it is speculation, but I really don't think that it's. I really don't think it's just simply an IT problem.
Conspiracy theory, eh? What is it?
Or conspiracy fact.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Okay.
But I
what
feel
do you think
most.
it is though? Do you think there's the Joker behind it or something?
Well, I mean, it could be just lack of cash, and you see,
What, in the
if a bank at all shows a lack of cash, the last thing that they want is a run on the bank. And the first thing I would do if I was bank manager is to say, "Oh, we have a technical problem," rather than say we're low on cash, which would cause more and more run on the bank, which would make the bank collapse. Anyway, terrible tragedy.
Any of those things.
Yeah. Actually, do you know what? I feel most sorry for the Indian technician who got the blame for this.
Dear, Sam
It was
wasn't his fault?
In Ahmedabad. I'm not sure where it was, but it was somewhere in northern India. An Indian technician who works for Ulster Bank did receive quite a bit of the blame for the technical issue. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he gets a good
TV.
I hope he gets an enhanced redundancy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It is crazy. I wonder if you're right, Daniel. I really like that idea. Do you think you're right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's how it's happened in previous countries before.
Okay.
One run on the bank creates a domino effect on other banks, and then.
Okay, well, I have to see. Okay, well, moving on from broken down banks,
To
we're going
broken
to
down
move
estates.
Broken down
to
houses.
down houses.
1 in 10
exactly.
ghost estates completed or made safe.
Right. Do you know that there are 2,066 ghost estates in this country? 1 in 10 would mean that about 211 have been restored, supposedly. But of those 211, actually only 75 estates have been approved by the local authority. So that headline is totally out of order. For one thing, it's
Yeah,
half
because
of
when
that.
you say
It's
safe,
half of
yeah,
it's 1 in, oh God knows, I don't know, 20.
75 out of the 2,800.
Yeah, it's just awful, and basically that's just stopping people getting in through the perimeters of the estate.
It's putting up fences.
It's quite unbelievable when you think of the amount of bulldozing that has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when the crash happened first, being at a conference, something on rural development or something like that, and this gentleman gave a speech that day, and he shocked everyone, when he said, they will be bringing in bulldozers to bulldoze us
But
all.
we've still got so many homeless people. I mean, Rory Quinn was saying, I think was it yesterday or today, that they're not going to build any more council houses.
That's right.
Because they've got all these ghost estates. Now, actually, the fact that is that people might not want to live in some of the 5 ghost estates we have in Cavan because they come from Cork or whatever.
Yeah.
Not quite sure how that one's going to work.
But there are a number of issues, there's also the fact, it's 5 years down the road now, some of those houses have been left sitting open
Yeah.
to the elements.
Mm.
There's nothing you can do with them when you bulldoze them. They're destroyed.
Mm.
I mean, that they would
Well,
perish.
no,
If they're
surely you can restore them. Wouldn't it be cheaper to
Some
to
are.
restore them
Some
and
of them
get people
Kate. It
living
depends
in
on the
them?
state that they were in.
Yeah.
But there are numerous estates that weren't far enough progressed
Mhm.
and that have been too open to the elements that
Yeah.
nobody could ever live in them.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some of them being lived in that really and truly are unlivable too. I mean, if you listen to Joe Duffy and people like that, and people ringing up about the standard of the houses that were built
Yeah.
during the boom time here, it's just crazy. So if you take that in consideration with, the bad workmanship, the poor materials that were
Yeah.
sometimes used, and some of them half filled, that really and truly the only answer for some of them is level them.
Okay.
know.
No, well, I agree.
And
I
it,
mean,
it seems quite a horrendous thing to do. And I remember being horrified when I heard this man say it way back, But 5 years on, nothing's happened to
Mm.
most of them.
well, what's really distressing is that nothing's happened, that they're still dangerous places. Michael, we've already had a child die
Mm.
in one of these
Mm.
ghost estates
Mhm.
because they aren't fenced off or secure. So people, they're becoming used by local people, who are
Mhm.
hanging out late for a drink or whatever, So there is damage
have-
being done, but
Manholes not covered,
Yeah.
you have,
Yeah.
they're quite dangerous.
yeah.
Or in one, let's kind of veer towards a happy note. In one case, a guerrilla gardener in Cavan went into a housing estate and planted a garden of flowers inside the house. He just decided
Why
one day to
inside
do
the
it.
house?
Well, the windows are all, there's no windows, no
Oh, I
doors,
see.
so it's and
Mhm.
it's just running rampant, but it's beautiful apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
right.
maybe we should get him on.
Okay,
You could
yeah,
go
okay.
paint it for your art class. Might be better than your still life.
Paint it.
Paint these houses, yeah.
Paint the house.
No, the garden he just has to
Yeah.
describe.
Oh, I
garden.
see. Paint the
Yeah.
garden.
Mm.
Hmm.
But no, definitely these houses, something could be done with them. Absolutely, I think
Well, we
something.
Some of them.
But no one's got any money apart from Lloyd's
Cash flow,
Bank.
cash flow.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of the show. So we're going to ask you guys, what are you up to this weekend?
Well, there's got to be dance involved somewhere
like
along the
dancing?
line. I love dancing.
Oh, very good. Okay.
I plan first of all on Saturday to go to a fun and fundraising evening over in Derry Lane in the Arches. That's Pearl and Wilson Kells's.
Okay.
They've set up this crazy golf, tennis,
Oh, really?
all sorts of things. It's worth a visit,
Oh, right. Okay.
and it's great for children. So that's the first thing I'm doing on Saturday,
Okay.
and then I plan to go to the dancing in Belgium stuff.
Oh, very good. The Ballroom of Romance.
The Ballroom of Romance, yes, because
Okay.
first of all, Showbud are playing,
Yeah.
and then I'd like to tell you all about the Ballroom of Romance in Ballinya Hall on Saturday week the 14th. So I hope you'll
Lovely.
come along to that.
Okay.
We'll cover that as
We'll
well.
cover
Brilliant.
JNS Sound are playing,
Okay.
Great.
We'll
so
be there.
they should be good.
Very good.
Excellent,
So,
excellent stuff.
Thank you.
Michael.
Michael, what are you up
Well,
to?
I'd love to say I was going dancing like Lila, but unfortunately I've got a very painful heel. So I am actually heading out to Mayo for a family party there. And I was also thinking of doing the pilgrimage up Croagh Patrick.
In a bad heel.
But that's out too,
No.
so I'm going to be with my foot up. But I'll try and have a few drinks and
Yeah,
enjoy
you
the
don't
party.
need your foot
anyway.
for that.
It's getting.
No.
It's
No,
getting.
you won't need your feet. No.
It's the clan. It's a gathering of the clan, Michael.
Good.
Family party.
Okay,
And Una?
Una, what are your plans? Oh no, I know what your plans are.
I understand that on Sunday, Virginia, there's a free barbecue.
Oh yes.
So I'm going to a free barbecue recessionary times. I won't have to cook Sunday dinner.
Excellent,
Excellent.
excellent stuff. Great, folks. Thank you very much for joining us, and everybody at home, thank you for joining us as well. Tune in next week to Forum Views, and if you want to check us out on drumlinmedia@gmail.com or cavantv.com. Bye.
Bye. Bye.